Welcome. This is Everyday Paradoxes Tiny Truths About Becoming, a 16-part audio series based on my book. These are reflections on the quiet contradictions that shape our growth. I'm Leslie DeMello. In each episode, we'll sit with one small truth from ordinary life, where psychology meets contemplation and insight becomes practice. Let's begin. Chapter 13. Slow is the fastest way there. On patience, pace, and the truth about sustainable growth. I used to live like I was late for my own life, always hurrying, always trying to get somewhere. The next version of myself, the next insight, the next breakthrough. And even when things were going good, I couldn't quite stay with them. There was this urgency underneath everything. A feeling that if I'm not moving forward, I'm somehow falling behind. Now, the strange thing about all of this was that no one was rushing me. No one was, I was not accountable to anyone. No one was rushing me. This whole process was completely internal. And one day I caught myself thinking, and I'm sure you all might have also thought this exact same phrase. Once I get through this phase, once I complete this target, once I finish doing so and so thing, then I can slow down. And I realized that I had been saying this for years. And that's how this paradox came to me. It's how this paradox began making sense to me. Slow is the fastest way there. Because we live in a culture that celebrates speed. We want faster results. We want faster healing. We want faster success. We scroll past other people's milestones and compare them to our behind the scenes. And then we start believing that urgency means that we are doing something important. And so we rush ourselves. We rush ourselves through emotions. We rush ourselves through healing. We rush ourselves through learning. And we also try to rush ourselves through becoming. And we keep telling ourselves, you know what? We'll rest later. We tell ourselves that slowing down, that's indulgent. I don't have the time to slow down. And if I'm being patient, it means I'm being passive. I need to be aggressive. I need to hit my targets. And then unfortunately, most of the exhaustion that we carry, it's not because we are doing the wrong things. It's simply because we are doing the right things, but we are trying to do them too fast. And then we are always living in that fight mode, in that survival mode, never giving our nervous system a chance to relax, living in urgency. You might notice these signs. You feel guilty when you rest. You feel like, no, you should be doing something more productive. Or you finish completing something and it's a big milestone, whether it's a painting, whether it's a book, whether it's a course. And without really letting that last thing land, you move straight to the next thing. Even when it comes to clarity, we want clarity now. We want the answers now. We want the direction now. We want the reassurance now. We somehow don't have the patience to let things unfold in their own time. We tend to compare our pace to someone else's progress. And we quietly wonder, are we being left behind? Am I lagging behind? And then sometimes some of us have this familiar thought that we should be further along by now. And if any of this sounds familiar, and I'm sure it does, it definitely sounded familiar to me. It doesn't mean that we lack discipline. It definitely doesn't mean that we lack motivation. It simply means that has learned, our nervous system has learned that moving fast, it feels safer than slowing down. And this is not a personal failure, it is conditioning. And the good part, conditioning, our programming, it can be softened, it can be reversed. Our conditioning can be reversed. I once heard this story about someone who was always rushing through meals, rushing through conversations, even rushing through rest. Have any of y'all rushed through your rest, checking the clock the whole time, taking your power naps? And one day someone asked them, "Why are you always in such a hurry?" And they replied, I don't want to fall behind." And behind what? That person asked. And they paused. I'm not sure, they said. I'm not sure, but it feels safer to just keep moving. It feels safer to keep moving. Sometimes we are not running toward anything specific. We are just running away from the discomfort of slowing down. And the irony is in that slowing down is where life is actually happening. And one of the reasons we are always in this rush and we are always in this hurry is that we talk about growth. I need to keep growing. That's why I need to keep moving. I need to keep doing. I need to keep exploring. I need to keep experimenting continuously. But growth has seasons. Growth doesn't really happen on demand. It happens in seasons, quietly, cyclically, same like nature. When you think about how anything in nature grows, a root forms before the branches. Integration happens before expansion. And we call this consolidation, the process where learning and change, they become embodied. Speed can create achievement, but slowness, it creates transformation. When we rush the process, we don't grow faster, we grow thinner, if that would be a fitting word. We grow thinner. It's like someone planting a seed and checking it every day. And they're looking at the soil and nothing. So they start tugging at the soil to help the seed along. The next day they tug a little more because nothing's happening. And eventually the plant appeared. But the plant was weak, it was pale, and it was short lived. And someone commented, you didn't grow it faster. You just didn't give it enough time. Just didn't give it enough time. Chasing. Chasing. How many of us are chasing some invisible there? How many of us are chasing some invisible there? That illusory goal in the future where we tell ourselves that I know I'll have landed when I buy the house, or when I buy the car, or when I get my dream job, or when I have 1 million in the bank. How many of us are chasing that invisible there? Or when I have 1 million followers, or when I have a six-figure income. We are chasing that invisible there, that place where everything finally clicks, where we are healed, where we are stable, where we are at peace. That invisible there. And on some level, we all know the truth that there is no final arrival. Because every time we reach a new place, every time we hit a new goal or we unlock a new accomplishment, the horizon shifts again. And and then again we start chasing a new invisible there. And not being able to reach that there, we start to think in terms of failure, but that's not failure, that's life. When we stop rushing toward arrival and we start being present with what is, we realize that the journey is not a delay. What we realize is that the journey is the whole point of it. So when we stop pushing toward that arrival, when we start being present with what is, we realize that the journey is not a delay. The journey is the whole point of it. The nervous system of pace. And I think this is really important for us to understand. Our nervous system, it has its own pace. Our nervous system, it has its own pace. And it doesn't care about our calendars or our deadlines or our to-do lists. When we move too fast for too long, our body starts to treat life like it is an emergency. Our stress hormones rise, anxiety creeps in, clarity gets harder to access. How many people do you all know nowadays who get diagnosed with high blood pressure and the doctor tells them it's because of stress? It's the same thing we are talking about. Always keeping our body in chasing mode. So our body starts to live like life is an emergency. Our body is always alert, always ready to fight. And nowadays, the first one of the first things that the doctor will ask you when you go to a doctor is what is your profession? Because they look at your profession, they look at your vitals, and then they will interlink both of them with stress. So when we move too fast for too long, our body starts to treat life like it's an emergency. Our stress hormones rise, our anxiety creeps in, and clarity gets harder to access. We are always confused. We are not able to take decisions easily. So the moment we try to slow down, or the moment we try to sit even for 10 minutes only by ourselves, without any devices or without any distractions, we start to feel uncomfortable. Have any of y'all recently tried just sitting with yourself? Sitting with yourself for 10 minutes. No phone around you, no television on, no one to have a conversation with. just with yourself, not even spending that time meditating, just sitting with yourself, just being. But we can't do it, or we find it uncomfortable to do it because we've been so programmed to the hustle. We've been so programmed, so conditioned to the distractions, to distract ourselves, to do something. So, from this place of stress, from this place of treating life like an emergency, it is really difficult to create, to connect, or even to heal. And I feel most importantly, to heal. Simply because our system is now focused on survival, it is not focused on growth. So, when we are talking about slowing down, we are not talking about being lazy or being unmotivated. We are simply talking about regulation. We call it the window of tolerance, where we are alert, but we are not overwhelmed, where we are engaged, but we are still grounded. And this state, we don't rush ourselves into this state, we ease into it. We ease into it slowly to give our system enough space to realize that, yeah, Leslie, it's safe again. It's safe again. And from there, everything works better. And this is what we do in meditation. This is what we do in mindfulness. When we meditate, when we sit, when we observe our thoughts, we are giving our system that space. When we practice yoga nidra, we are giving our system that space to realize that it's safe again. And we ease into this slowly. We build it like a muscle. And why do we need to build it like a muscle? Why do we need to keep practicing it? Because for so many years of our life, we have been slowly destroying ourselves because of the hustle, because of the conditioning that we have been put through, because of our programming that we need to be productive, we need to grow, we need to keep doing things, we should not be sitting and relaxing. So we simply start to practice giving enough space to our system to realize that it's safe again. So the question I would like to put to y'all, if y'all are journaling, and if y'all are not journaling, simply to reflect. Where in your life are you rushing yourself? Where in your life are you rushing yourself? And you can look at the different areas of your life. So maybe so sometimes we try to rush our health. Sometimes we try to rush with our careers, or even in our relationships, we try to rush into our relationships. And sometimes, even with our spirituality, we try to rush into it. We don't give things enough time to assimilate. So, where in your life are you all rushing yourselves? And this is kind of something that I experienced last month. And last month, it was the beginning of the year, and I had done some very, very motivational. I had attended some very, very motivational courses, and I was really pumped up. So from Jan 1st, I began hitting it and recording my meditations and creating my content, and I was really, really productive because for the moment there, I had bought into the hustle once again. But by the 15th of Jan, my body kind of gave up. It could not take the hustle anymore. And for the next couple of weeks, I was sick, completely unproductive. So sometimes the body will try to slow you down. It'll tell you that this is too much. I cannot handle this. And in times like this, many people lean towards medication just to keep the body going, to keep the body moving. So, where in your life are you rushing yourself? And I think the more important question is, what are you afraid will happen if you slow down? What are you afraid will happen if you slow down? Because that fear is real, right? That fear of being left behind, that fear of not meeting your targets, that fear of not being able to go where you want to go. What will happen if you slow down? So just take some time. If you're journaling, journal. If you're reflecting, simply reflect. And we are told that if we slow down, we will lose momentum. Sometimes that's what we are told. If we slow down, we will lose momentum. But rest is not the opposite of progress, but rather rest is what makes progress sustainable. And I had to learn this the hard way. I had to learn this the hard way. And this is maybe around three 3 years back. And I just started running, and I had managed to bring myself up to run a 5K, 5 kilometers in one go without stopping, which was quite an achievement for me. And I was able to do this sporadically. But one day I had a brilliant idea. My mind gave me a brilliant idea. It said, Leslie, if you run, why don't you run a 5 kilometers every day? And after a period of time, it will become like a new normal for you. And that's what I started doing. And by the third day, I was done. My feet were swollen, my ankles were paining, my knees were paining. For the next 2 weeks, I could not run. So think about athletes, artists, musicians. They don't sprint endlessly. They train, they rest, they integrate, and then they come back stronger. Our nervous system learns in waves: effort and pause, movement and stillness. When we slow down, we are not falling back, but rather we are solidifying, we are getting stronger. And when you start to slow down your pace, when you start to slow down your pace, you'll start to notice the difference. Decisions will feel clearer, intuition will become audible. We recover faster from whatever, whether it's a relationship, whether it's an illness, no matter what, we recover faster and we trust the process more. Every time we slow down and we experience the benefits of slowing down, we trust the process more. Slow doesn't mean stuck, it means aligned. We start to get aligned. A small practice, a small practice to find your natural tempo, to find your natural pace. So you can place one hand on your chest and place one hand on your belly. Go ahead and do it. One hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. And ask yourself, what pace actually feels right for me right now? What pace actually feels right for me right now? And this is not the pace you should move at, the pace your body recognizes as safe. What pace feels right for you right now? And let your breath Adjust naturally to that pace that you're thinking of. Let it adjust naturally. So, how did that practice feel? And it's interesting when we are able to notice this, right? To notice that, yeah, I have been living my life in this urgency. And when we ask ourselves, what's that urgency about? We really don't know. We really can't say. We really can't be sure. But it's more like, isn't that how everyone does it? There's a very nice definition, so to speak, of mindfulness. Because many a times, whenever we talk or whenever we think about mindfulness, our mind always defaults to, okay, I'm sitting somewhere crossed leg in a quiet place, I've closed my eyes and I'm meditating. And this is how we think of mindfulness. But mindfulness can, what can mindfulness look like? Mindfulness can look like when you're washing the dishes, you're washing the dishes. You're not really thinking about what you're going to do later. You're with that vessel, you're washing it out. When you're hanging out your laundry, that's what you're doing. You're hanging out your laundry. You're being mindful, completely engrossed in what you're doing, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, just doing what you need to be doing. When you're driving, you're feeling the car, you're enjoying the view, you're not thinking about what you will do after you get home. So mindfulness, practicing mindfulness in all the little things that we do. So yes, so slow is the fastest way there. We'll now go into our guided meditation, and I've titled this meditation Moving at the Speed of Wisdom. That's the title I've given for it, Moving at the Speed of Wisdom. So if it feels comfortable and if it is safe to do so, gently close your eyes. Or alternatively, soften your gaze. And let your body arrive exactly as it is. You don't need to adjust anything. You don't need to sit a certain way. You don't need to get this right. Let your body arrive exactly as it is. Take a slow breath in through the nose and let it out through the mouth. One more time. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And notice if there is a sense of rushing. Notice if there is a sense of rushing. The feeling of needing to arrive somewhere else to get to the next moment. You're allowed to set that down here. Bring your attention to the places where your body is supported. The chair beneath you, the floor under your feet, the weight of your body being held. Notice how support doesn't hurry you. It doesn't ask you to improve. It doesn't ask you to move faster. It simply holds. Let your shoulders soften. Let the jaw unclench. Let the space behind your eyes widen. If your body doesn't relax right away, that's okay. Even noticing is enough. Now gently bring awareness to the habit of hurry. The habit of hurry. Not as a problem, not as something to fix, just as something that you've learned. And you might feel it as a tightness in the chest or the forward leaning energy, a sense of what's next, or maybe just a general restlessness in the body. However, way you may feel it, simply acknowledge it. This has been trying to help me, and let that be enough. No resistance, no correction. Now gently invite the breath to slow, not forcing it, just lengthening it slightly. Inhale slowly. Pause for a moment. Exhale even slower. Pause again. Inhale slowly. Pause for the moment. Exhale even slower. Let the pauses be as important as the movement. Your nervous system understands pauses. They are where the integration happens. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. And now imagine something simple. Imagine walking, not to get somewhere, not to arrive, just walking. Feel the pace of your steps, not rushed, not dragging. A pace where you can actually notice things. The ground beneath you, the air on your skin, the rhythm of movement. Notice how different this feels. This is the place where wisdom lives. Now bring to mind the idea of behind. Bring to mind the idea of being behind. And notice how your body reacts to that phrase. You don't need to analyze it, just feel it. The idea of being behind. And imagine gently placing that idea down on the ground beside you. You're not denying it. You're not arguing with it. You're simply letting it rest. You don't have to carry it everywhere you go. Now imagine your growth not as a straight line, but as something organic, like roots growing underground, like a tree moving through seasons, like waves rising and falling. Nothing is rushed, nothing is late. Everything arrives when the conditions are right. Silently offer yourself these words: I don't need to hurry. I grow in my own rhythm. Slow is safe for me. And let these phrases land in your body. And rest for a moment in the rhythm of your breath. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Feel how your system begins to settle when there is no demand for speed. This is not stagnation. This is integration where things take root. And now imagine bringing this space into one small part of your life. Just one. Not the whole future. Not everything at once. Just one small part of your life. Notice how that feels in the body. You are not falling behind, you're choosing alignment. And slowly begin to notice the area that you are in, the sounds, the temperature, the weight of your body. Take a gentle breath in. Let it out slowly. Move your fingers, move your toes, and when you're ready, open your eyes. You don't need to catch up. You don't need to rush your becoming. Life is not asking you to run, it's asking you to slowly arrive. So, the slower you go, the deeper you grow because when you slow down, you notice, you listen, and you choose from clarity. And that's why slow becomes the fastest way there. Not because it's efficient, but because it's true. So, my challenge for all of y'all today, if it is the beginning of the day, or tomorrow, if it is the end of the day, try to spend 10 minutes with yourself doing nothing. Just 10 minutes. No device, no one to have conversation with, no going on a walk, no doing the dishes, no meditating, no practicing mindfulness. Just spend 10 minutes with yourself. Just 10 minutes. Set an alarm if you wish. Have that experience of being with yourself. Thank you for listening. This has been Everyday Paradoxes, Tiny Truths About Becoming. Before you move on, you might sit quietly with these questions. What did I recognize in myself today? Where is this paradox quietly at work in my life? And what is one small shift I'm being invited toward? Becoming rarely announces itself. It unfolds in awareness, in small recognitions, in the gentle courage to see clearly. This series is based on my book Everyday Paradoxes, Tiny Truths About Becoming. It's a reflective guide meant to be read slowly, not for answers, but for insights that deepen with time. You'll find the reflection questions in the description along with details about the book. If this conversation resonated, you're welcome to like, share, or subscribe so these truths can reach others who may need them. Until next time, stay present, stay curious, and keep becoming.